いい顔だ。思い詰めた憂い顔がこれほど月夜に映えるとはな。
何やつ。
Everyone loves to go on an adventure, but you know what's better? Going on an adventure with the girls so you can find true love along the way. Since this won't happen in real life, let's see 10 adventures, fantasy, romance, blah blah blah, anime, where the lucky guy finds his waifu. Here we go. Number 10, Nor 9.
最高だよ。せっかく濡れたんだし、このまま岸まで泳ごうか。
私そんな泳げないです。
Want to see an anime version of Among Us? Yeah, you heard that right. Here we have one spaceship carrying its passengers to the other end of the world, while one of them realizes there is one extra among them. Who is the person who secretly snuck into the ship? Will they kill people and escape through a vent? Where's the emergency meeting option? Why do these people have superpowers? Nor 9's premise isn't one of the easiest ones to understand, and the story doesn't do a good job of clarifying it because we have these character stories mixing in with each other to make things even more confusing. But you know what's good? The art and the soundtrack. This was adapted from a visual novel, so I think that explains why the story is too hard to understand. But if you try not to think about it too hard and instead focus on the characters, you'll have some great character drama waiting for you. Number 9, Hatenkou Yugi. Let's head back to the late 2000s, where original anime kept popping up faster than Rito could add girls to his harem. Hatenkou Yugi is one of those unique shows that you watch once in a whole. For example, the writing of the main character here is pretty damn good. I mean, come on, when was the last time you saw a badass female character who had a great character arc? Oh wait, we had Historia, but most of the time, anime female characters don't get as much focus as the male characters. But then we've got this show, which does the complete opposite. Razel is one of the best developed characters in the story, but the two guys who are with her are like, nah, we don't need any development, let the girl handle this stuff. But still, this is pretty underrated, so stop complaining and watch it. Number 8, Tytania.
ただの無人艦だと知ったらさぞ怒るでしょうな。全ワイゲルト砲を用意。目標タイタニア艦隊。
Is this related to Attack on Titan? Only Ymir knows. Oh wait, it's not related. This time, we move on to space, and we get more Legend of Galactic hero vibes with even more space battles. We've got smart characters, strategic battles, and some controversial endings. Because what's an anime without controversial endings? Am I right? Tytania is definitely something unique when it comes to this genre, because it's got some pretty great characters who are well developed through the story, and a plot that doesn't look like it was developed by a 5-year-old who suddenly wanted to write a fantasy story. Once again, it's made in the late 2000s, which is the era of anime originality. So if you need some unique adventure show, don't miss this one. Number 7, The Story of Salunkoku.
はいどうぞ。桜がとても綺麗だから、外でお茶しながら本を読もうと思ったの。
そなたは商家の娘か。
え？なんでわかったの？
You know it's very rare to get a kingdom story that's done right. By kingdom story, I mean those stories where the girl enters the emperor's concubine and then gets into politics and waifu struggles. The reason the story of Salunkoku works so well is because of the slow pace and the way it introduces its characters. The show starts off with a normal premise, but then we get enough time to get to know each character and to see how they develop over time. And to make things way better, the politics actually seems political without looking like it was just there for the sake of the plot. And you definitely shouldn't forget that this show has a smart female character, and I do not mean nerdy smart, I mean politically smart. I still don't know how this anime went under everyone's radar, but if you haven't watched this, then make sure to check it out. Number 6, Spirit Chronicles. First off, the ending sucks. They adapted the light novel in a slow and steady pace, gave enough time to introduce characters, skipped some content, and then suddenly pushed everything down our throat in the last 2 minutes on the final episode. I mean, why? But if you just got too confused by my rant and haven't watched the anime, then the reason why I'm including this is because of the build-up. I feel like the main character should have gotten some more development over the course of the story, but the rest of the elements were perfect. The world building definitely feels unique. Our guy is overpowered as hell from the start. He soon adds his teacher to the harem because that's what every isekai protagonist does these days. And finally, we've got some nice adventure with this guy traveling from village to village. Then no need to say, this is one of the best fantasy animes of last season. Number 5, Earl and Fairy.
大体あなた本当に青騎士伯爵の子孫なの？あなたに妖精が見えるのかしら？でなきゃ自分の領地に行けないもん。
そう先祖が持っていた力を僕は持っていない。
One fairy, one human. What will happen to their interspecies romance? Oh wait, fairies look like actual humans, so don't be too scared to watch this anime. Turns out our fairy girl is a doctor, and our human guy finds her and makes her his servant. And no, this is not an eke anime. I know master-servant relationships aren't very original, but Earl and Fairy definitely deserves the top spot when it comes to animes of this niche. You can clearly see the logic and ideals behind these characters, and you can tell why they fall in love with each other, which if you haven't realized, is not something many modern romance anime writers think about. And what I really loved about this show was how it took the time to research and build up fairy folklore. This way the story feels more realistic, and you can actually get invested in the world building without treating it as another plot element. Number 4, Shin no Nakama ja nai to Yuusha.
普通はできないことですよね。レッドさんって結構上品なところもあるので、もしかしたら騎士とかだったのかも。騎士
This anime got released this season, and I recently got time to watch the first episode. And since I already recapped the summary of this show in my fall recap video, and even if I didn't, anyone guessed the synopsis from the title in my anime list? Now is the time to tell my first thoughts about the series. First off, I really love the premise because it feels original, even though I don't know why he left the party just because this guy said 2 or 3 words. And second, he seems like the overpowered guy who has the potential to own a harem, so there's that. And third, this seems like a calm, slice-of-life adventure series rather than something brimming with action. There's also a fascinating mystery behind the series, so if you want all of that, then make sure to definitely check this one out. Number 3, Shinka no Mi, Shiranai Uchi ni Kachigumi Jinsei.
だからお嫁さんにしてください。
Once again, we have another new show that got released this season, and based on the premise, I feel like it's going to be another cool isekai, romance, fantasy adventure, and based on the poster, I think it's going to be a cool isekai harem fantasy adventure, but we'll have to wait and find out. This title, similar to our good old Arifureta, a whole class gets transported into a magical fantasy world, and this poor guy lands in a completely different area. There, he eats the ultimate fruit of evolution and evolves into a whole new character. The first episode seemed to adapt a lot of isekai tropes, and at the time it felt like a parody of the genre. But once again, we'll have to wait and see what to expect with it. Also, I feel like this is an anime where people will fight for the best girl. Number 2, Nura, Rise of the Yokai Clan.
止まった。
お前なんだ
I know this focuses more on action and adventure rather than romance, but I feel like I should mention this one because it's one of the best adventure fantasy series I've watched. And don't worry, there's romance, but the build-up takes some time. Nura is about a part yokai and part human boy who goes into full yokai mode at night. Yeah, like Dracula, but he gets to win girls this time. All jokes aside, Nura is really great at developing its character, and the side characters don't feel like side characters because we get to see each of their stories. The story also seems pretty great and does not survive on many fantasy adventure cliches you see in most fantasy anime. This is also one of those underrated shows, so make sure to check this one out. Number 1, Familiar of Zero.
甘えんじゃ。
じゃあご飯抜きにするわよ。鎖も外してあげない。
Alright, I know many people here have watched this show, but this is purely to educate people who haven't watched this masterpiece. Okay, whether it's a masterpiece or not is for you to judge, because some people may see it as a great fantasy romance anime, while others see it as another generic harem anime. Familiar of Zero starts when Louise summons a familiar from our world named Saito Haraga. Saito was just an average high schooler who needed to live a normal life, but that soon became a dream, as he's now needed to serve Louise, and even save her from embarrassing moments. Familiar of Zero has 4 seasons, and even though it may loosely hang on the plot factor, it does have some great romance plus harem. I mean, even the queen falls in love with him. And I feel like that's the highest position one generic isekai character can go.